Hey everybody, Mr. Brewer here. Hope you've all been doing well at home. I wanted to continue working on Python. I made the decision to skip most of Unit 4 because it's not as fun to get through. There's a lot of talks of for loops and such, and for iron range loops, which we'll get to. But I wanted to spend the rest of the school year talking about sprites. Sprites is a fun stuff. You get into working with images, backgrounds, movement, and such. And so we have about 6 weeks left in the school year. So I wanted to spend some time talking about the fun stuff. So we haven't done TechSmart together for a long time. I wanted to give you plenty of time to get working on your other classes, and I sent you some videos of watching others code in Python. Hopefully you're able to watch those videos, get inspired. Hopefully you got started working in REPL.it, which is a cool resource for you to code in Python and upload your own files without the restrictions of TechSmart. And so if you want to code whatever you want, add images however you want, REPL.it is the way to go. But for today, I'm going to show you how to code with sprites in TechSmart. So this lesson will be a little bit different. We'll be doing it online. I'm recording. The nice thing about recording it is you can stop the video, check out my code. I'm also going to show you all the answers as I code. That way it totally makes sense to you, or if not, at least you have the answers to help you along the way. So this video will probably be about 15, 20 minutes. And I'll probably start posting 1 to 2 a week for you. As a class, we'll grade these things, but really if you put in the effort, I'll give you an A. As always, I just love to teach you how to code. You show me you're trying, and I'll give you a good grade for your effort. So let's get started. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here. And first talk about the warm-up. The warm-up for today for 5.1 sprites is to fill the screen with black, draw a red rectangle over the lower half of the screen, and to draw a yellow circle at the center of the screen. So if you open up your warm-up, and you'll see what the requirements are. Go ahead and work on that if you'd like to. You can pause the video here and work on the warm-up. But since I'm a nice teacher, I'll just go ahead and show you the answer here. So this is the warm-up here. We import, that's not supposed to be there yet. We import Pygame. We initialize Pygame. We have our window equals pygame.display.set_mode. Window size 1018, 573. Hopefully you remember how to do these things. Okay. And then with drawing equals true. While we're drawing, while we're having the program run, what's going to happen? We're going to do a while loop. So while drawing, we do our code here. As if you remember, this event allows us to click the X at the top, and allows us to close the window at any time. And when we click that X, drawing now equals false. The program closes, and that's the end of the story. So essentially, a lot of what we're doing here in this code is down here, window.fill, where every time the loop runs, it redraws the screen with black. And then we have r equals pygame.rect. This is where we're declaring our rectangle, if you remember from many moons ago. And so we declare a rectangle here, and then we draw it here, okay? And then we draw our circle here, okay, with our color, our coordinates, okay, and radius, and then we flip it. If we don't flip it, then we won't see anything at all, okay? So this is the warm-up. If you need to pause the video here so you can copy my code, go ahead and pause it, copy the code down. Now this may be a challenge if you're just on one laptop to have the video open and your own code open. If you can work on 2 screens, that's great. Most of you don't have 2 screens. So just do the best you can. If you just want to watch the video and learn how to do sprites, that's cool too. So if I run it, here's what happens. Top half of the screen is black, bottom half red. There's our middle circle. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense to you. And now let's go ahead and hop into learning about making a sprite. This is the cool stuff. This is stuff I've been talking about all year long. Wish we could have done it in person. That's okay that we're doing it through video, because then you guys can interrupt me while I'm teaching this to you. So I'm really excited. Let's go over the slides real quick. So a couple things you're going to learn is about sprites, field, it's not as important yet, images, location, and scale. An idea of what these things are: sprite is the picture you're coding with. We'll skip field for now. An image tends to be the image file you're working with. Location is where you put the image, and the scale is the size you make the sprite. All fairly simple things. So I'm going to share with you, if you see my screen here, I have the slides here, the code here, and then over on the right, I will give you all the answers of what the code is, of what you're coding. So hopefully this helps you to learn sprites. So you can watch the video and code perhaps at the same time. So let's get started. So a sprite is an object based on an image file. So essentially, you know what a sprite is? It's an image file. It's an image that you can upload into your programs to make them cooler. You make sure you want to use a good file type like .png, .jpg. Those are both image files and good ones to use. The resolution's nice. Okay. There's a sprite. There's a cat. That's a good looking cat, right? We're going to put that sprite into our program today. And so a sprite stores different information, or we can put a different information about it. We can put its position and its size. That's that scale, which we'll get into in a bit. So how do we make sure that we're going to use this sprite? So if I go here in this project, usually you're right here. You're coding in this file and you do nothing else most of the year. For those who are crazy and want to explore this part, this is where you upload the images, and you can add images here by clicking on Add Image. You can actually add a whole bunch of images into your program. Okay. Doesn't put them in yet. We actually have to put the code in our program to add these in, but this queues it up. This is like a waiting list. But we're going to be using the cat today. Okay. So I'll go back and click on our code file here. You can also add sounds, data, fonts. That's actually next year's coding stuff, but we'll just talk about sprites today. Okay. So what are we going to do with this image? So we talked about coordinates. Remember we talked about the grid all throughout unit 3 and into 4. There is our X and Y. So here at the top left, that's 1010. So that will put our sprite, our cat sprite, right there at 1010. Okay, it's just like a shape. Okay, upper left corner. Now, there is the syntax for how to code a sprite. And this is available in your buddy Code Assist. Okay, so you're welcome to go to Code Assist anytime, search anything to do with sprites. There is a lot here for you to learn about sprites. There's stuff about collisions. If you want to learn about collisions, a few of you emailed about collisions. We'll get to that a little bit later. But for now, we'll just focus on coding a sprite. So first things first. So TechSmart made their own library to make coding sprites accessible. So we need to add a new library. So as you can see over here on the right, it gives you directions of what to do, help you guys with your code. So we're going to import TSK, and then after the window line, we are going to add our cat. Okay, our cat sprite. So we're going to call the variable cat just for convenience sake. Usually name your variable sprites after what you're drawing. So building or guitar name it after the object itself. Okay, so name of the library, the fact that it's a sprite. Okay, now the name of the file type, as you can see here, it says cat.png. If you go back to project and you look here, cat.png, that's the name of our little cute cat sprite. Okay, so we will do cat.png. Okay, whoops, don't have that yet. And we have to add a few more directions here, and that is where we're putting our cat. So 400, 200, okay. Now we've created our cat, but we still have to draw it. So there's two things that need to take place when you add a sprite into your program. First, you have to declare, hey, here's my cat variable, and then you have to draw it. That's just the way Python works, okay? So in order to do that, it's simple, sprite.draw, the name of the sprite.draw. That's why it's important to have a simple variable name. It's that name.draw, okay? So now directions are after pygame.draw.circle and before the flip, because if you put it after the flip, we don't get to see your cute cat. We're going to type cat.draw, paren, and let's see what happens. Big reveal, there is a flying cat. Congratulations, if you were able to do this, you just added your first sprite into your program. Go ahead and give yourself a pat on the back. Pause the video, jump up and down, do some jumping jacks, but you're coding again and you're coding cool stuff. If you'd like to pause the video and go back and to the projects and add in a ton more images, feel free to do so. There's this Abby kick, you can add that in, but there are so many images in here that you have access to that you can add into the program. So go ahead and play around, add in some sprites, but I'm going to continue on because you do have a little bit more to cover today, and then I'll let you go ahead and code. So moving on, a field is an information an object knows about itself. So we've actually used fields before. A couple of my notes here. Whenever we were moving a rectangle and use the .x and .y values, those were fields. They're variables, but they're very specific to a particular object, such as a circle, such as a rectangle. Okay. So we can find out a few things. Sprites actually, you can get a lot of information about them and give a lot of information in the code. And we get that using that dot operator. Okay, these are a few of the sprite fields we'll be looking at now: image, center, and scale. Scale again is making the sprite bigger, making it smaller. The way the cat file is set up, it's a certain size, but you can scale to make that cat bigger. You can make it smaller. So stick with me here. This is some cool stuff you'll get to learn today. So to learn more about fields, open Code Assist, select a search and select Sprite, scroll down the variable section and display the fields available. So we'll do that here so you can see it. Go to Sprite. There's a lot of stuff about sprites here. Go down to variable. So there's the angle of a sprite, the center of a sprite, center X, center Y for positioning. You can flip the image on its X or Y. Okay. There's so much information here. There's sprite.scale to make it bigger or smaller. So there's a code for that. Sprite.scale equals 1.1. Make it any different from this. Larger, you have a larger sprite. Smaller, you have a smaller sprite. Okay, like panda.scale equals 0.5. This will make your panda half the size. And there is panda pictures available for you to use. So let's go back here to our slides. So an image, again, that's the file that, that a sprite displays. So it's an example of a field, okay? And here is syntax for it. My sprite equals sprite.image, sprite.image equals cat.png. So you can swap the image of a sprite without changing its coordinates. The program will give a runtime error if you try to load a file that doesn't exist, so make sure that file is in there. The location, The coordinates of a sprite. There are a few different ways to refer to a sprite's position on a screen. So here's a few ways. Corner, x equals sprite.x, y equals sprite.y. Top left corner of a sprite, as I mentioned earlier, works like a rectangle. Sprite is the variable name of the sprite, and these will match the coordinates you used when you create a sprite until the sprite moves. Okay, so remember up here, here's the coordinates for our cat, 400, 200. That put it right in the middle. Okay. And the example of center, unlike rectangles, you can also refer to a sprite by its center location, which is really cool. You can make the sprite your mouse cursor using the same time using the center. Pretty cool. So if you want your cursor being what's on the screen, it could be a sprite. Center contains a tuple with the x and y value. It can also use the x and y separately with center underscore x and center underscore y. Okay, so here's an example. So there's our cat sprite. It is inside of a box, and you'll notice that later when we're trying to do collisions, when two sprites collide, it's when their rectangles collide. To not use a rectangle, it's very complicating to code. That way, the image itself, for simplicity, this cat file comes in a rectangle, and that's what we're going to use in the time being. So center underscore x is the middle of the rectangle's width. Center.y is the middle of the rectangle's height. Okay, so there's some code for us there, syntax to look at. So to change the sprite's position, we modify its x and y values. To move a sprite by a certain amount, we first get its center, then change the values, then set the center again. And you can do this with the entire center or with individual center x and center y values. Make sure when setting the center that you assign it a coordinate tuple. You'll get an error if you don't. So before window.fill, we're going to add in some lines. So we'll redo our drawing here. Okay. So up here, as you can see, I have the code available for you. So if you need to pause the video, add in that code, super cool. But I will code it for you here. X, y equals cat.center, caps lock. Cat center. Okay, next line, y plus equals 1. Okay, and then cat dot center equals xy. Okay, pygame dot time dot wait. So what is this going to do? Any predictions of what this is going to do? It's going to do something. It adds movement to our sprite. Pretty cool. We've animated objects before. This is how you animate your sprite. So now today you've learned how to code a sprite and move your sprite. Super, super exciting. Okay. So if we were to move the x, let's do x and minus equal, whoop, x minus equals 1. And let's see what happens. Our cat is moving at a diagonal angle. That is so cool. So now you can move sprites around the screen. Okay, make the wait even shorter. Okay, your sprite moves a little faster. You can just make it 1. Okay, pretty cool stuff. Super exciting. Okay, now a few more things to note before you are working on your own. Okay, so scale, the size of a sprite, we can control its size. Pretty simple. Make the sprite bigger, make it smaller. So 1 is the sprite's normal size, 2 means it's twice as big, 0.5 means it's half as big. So after we draw the cat up here on line 11, we're going to scale it. So when you're going to make modifications to your sprite, before you're drawing it, this is where it'll take place. Just to keep your code clean, cat.scale equals 2. What's going to happen here? Okay, we'll take a wild guess. going to make your cat huge. Big cat. Big fat cat. There you go. Big fat cat. Okay. And he's slowly leaving us like cats like to do. So there you have it. So that is how you code a sprite. Pretty exciting stuff. So I think this is a good place to pause for now. I'd like you to hop into Code Assist, learn more about sprites, go to project, add more sprites in. If you're feeling really crazy, go in here and you see it paired with some other tabs. You can add a background, which is pretty exciting. We'll learn about that in a different lesson, but go ahead and practice that for now. I will, back here. I've unlocked the entire day for Thursday. Friday's material I'm going to push into next week. Again, we're only going to code every few days. I'll break it down for you guys. So all this information about how to make a sprite, go ahead and practice these as well, just for your own benefit, okay? And if you have any questions, go ahead and send me an email. I'll try and answer them as they come in. So real quick here, declare sprite. Okay, you just learned how to do that. Okay, that's the exact same code as before. Cat equals tsk.sprite, cat png 100 100. I'll just add it here for you. Okay, and then draw. Okay, draw it down here. Okay, as you can see there. So when we do it, there's our cat, our fat cat. Okay, go ahead and have fun, you guys. I miss you all tremendously. It's been really hard not having you all in class. It's been a lot harder than I thought. I'm actually here at school right now getting some stuff done, as you can see. I miss you guys tremendously. So please shoot me an email just to say hello, or if we need to chat on the phone about something, let me know. We can set up a Zoom call as a class if you'd like. But I think for this class, it's better just to post videos so you can pause them. But we may do a Zoom call, a class call at some point just to catch up, because I do miss you guys. So yeah, best of luck with your coding. Have fun. Best way to learn how to code is by doing it on your own. So good luck, you guys, and I will talk to you soon.